Hello, and thank you for listening to the podcast. We appreciate it, and we appreciate a lot of help from a lot of people all throughout this journey. So we've got a couple of shout-outs we're going to make here. The first shout-out being to Beck Sutton, the graphics designer who is designing our logo. She is the creator and owner of Primal Studios, which can be found on Facebook. Or if you go to primalst.com, you'll be able to find her work there, and she is fantastic at what she does.
Yeah, and the second shout out we'd like to make is to Andrew Stanton, composer of the song Escape the Oppression, which is the kick-ass song for our intro. We love the song, we love the dude. You can check out more of his stuff on soundstripe.com, where there's plenty of songs by plenty of other artists as well, where you can license for podcasts. So go check it out and see what's on there and see what you can use.
Stay frosty.
I want you to have a beard like a big molesty sailor.
Hello and welcome to The Songs That Made Us, the awful show that has now hit the airwaves properly and, surprisingly, nobody likes. Now, we are also known as the podcast that has changed the world, which is a moniker that we'll be keeping going forward. And with me is my beautiful co-host, Mr. Connor Reed.
Oh, thanks for that, mate. I appreciate that. I was like, oh, what a horrible intro where you're just slating everything about the show, and then I can't stay mad at you now, can I? You've charmed me.
Well, it's a shit sandwich, isn't it? I start with the bread, and then end with the bread. And as per usual form at this point now, we have a guest with us, Mr. Gary Brooking. If you'd like to say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Gary.
I've made.
Hello.
So we are here to talk about another phenomenal album, and this is an album, I think, from when we got our recordings all together. You can hear a baby in the background. That's Gary's little one.
Oh, bless her.
Yes.
And she is the devil.
Oh, me.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, she doesn't
If you want her, you can have her. She's free. All you need to know is just, yeah. Free to a caring home, or even a not so caring home, just another home, really.
Oh, wow.
But kids are brilliant, you know. They start off like helpless as babies, then they turn into like 2-year-olds who are unbelievably cute, and then they turn into 3-year-olds, and it's basically a cave person.
A cave person.
I'm hoping you're keeping any wooden clubs away from her, because I reckon.
You know. To quote Jim Jeffries, if left to her own devices, she'd just shit in her hand and chuck it at us.
Which I'm surprised hasn't happened yet.
That's not a story I'm really eager to tell, to be fair.
Behind the scenes, look at Gary's life.
Yeah, this is my life.
Yeah, we're basically like Attenborough and his film crew now, going into
just an inside look in Gary's household.
And here it is, the Remy in its natural habitat.
Her brother might start screaming, so I might have to run off if that happens. But so far, he's asleep.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, don't worry, mate. There's life, not just like.
That's why I was late, man. Trying to be anywhere on time with 2 children younger than 3 is impossible.
Oh, bless man, I can't imagine.
You really can't.
Next step, #fuck babies. But I think that could go.
God, no, don't start that one, please. How is it? We haven't even gotten onto like any sort of topic in our podcast yet, and we've already talked about how horrible children in the UK are, keep clubs away from them, and some horrible hashtags.
Yeah, the problem is that hashtag could be used by Nambler, couldn't it?
Well, it gives new meaning to the phrase "bilf," doesn't it?
Oh no.
Now, bear in mind, Connor, this is scratching the surface of some of the shit that me and Gary have talked about over the years.
Oh, yeah, I
Jesus.
have no filter, by the way, so, you know.
Fair enough, man. Fair.
Well, I think you'll be proud of my lack of filter on some of these episodes so far. I've been train wrecking it. It's a form of sabotage. I think, to steer us in the right direction.
Mm.
What's your album, Gary?
Well, if you have to ask, you'll never know.
Hey, nice.
50 cents, get rich or die trying.
50 cents, get rich or die trying. Fair.
It's not. It's really not. It's the four greatest words ever to be uttered in the music world. Blood Sugar Sex Magik.
Yeah, it's a great album. It's one. I think it's safe in saying this is like, for all three of us, it's one of our favorite albums.
Oh, I mean, the amount of times I've listened to it since it was released in like '97 or whatever it is, most likely numbers into the hundreds at least.
Yeah, man.
It's just amazing. There's no beating it, really. Like even their newer stuff, it's just so unique compared to every one of their other albums.
Yeah, man. I think it's definitely a signifier of a change of tone for them, because from this album, this album basically kicked them into, I don't want to say the mainstream, but it definitely made them more worldwide famous. Like it blew them up. And from here on out, they still kept to their sound. They didn't necessarily pander, but they definitely became a bit more likable and a bit more accessible for everyone.
No.
Well, I think it was the dual effect of you've got an album that's got both "Give It Away" on, which is a phenomenal song, but it's still true to themselves.
Yeah.
Followed up by "Under the Bridge," which is more or less a ballad of sorts.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of their biggest songs, if not their biggest song they've ever made.
I mean,
I didn't check actually.
It's kind of also where Anthony kind of transitioned from the sort of the rapping he was known for into the more melodic sort of, songs that they kind of is their more recent stuff.
Yeah, I think for him, like, this is where he started to chill out a little bit, because I remember reading somewhere that he was really nervous when they first joined the band, or when they first started, and because everyone else was playing an instrument and everyone was so good, he was so self-conscious about whether he was doing enough, and so he'd write a lot of lyrics, and it would become this sort of rap style that you were talking about. And he still does that a little bit in this, but he definitely chills out a little bit more. He's a bit more confident in his place in the band, and you can see that in songs like "Under the Bridge."
I think there's another reason for that as well. I'm pretty sure throughout the recording of this he was clean.
Yeah.
Because it was because he was clean for a period up until towards One Hot Minute, I believe.
No, One Hot Minute he's definitely off his head during One Hot Minute.
Yeah. So there's a space of time from like just leading into this album, and then I think on the subsequent tour is when he kicked back in with his addictions.
Yes,
but
I mean, John was completely orbiting fucking Pluto during this album. Brilliant.
Yeah, completely. I mean, they've all had a massive history of drugs, as it's well documented and well known. I mean, that's a massive part of Anthony's life, and he talks a lot about it in this album. But yeah, I mean, I imagine, because this is the first album since oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. What's his name?
Hillel Flowback.
Yeah, and he obviously passed away.
Second album.
Yeah,
sorry, second album since
Mother's
that,
Milk
is it?
Was Mother's Milk was the first one for John, but
right, yes, of course.
Hillel because he was pushed to kind of play like Hillel would play rather than put his own style on it. So
he was also pushed into using more distortion and things like that as well on the guitar, which is why they broke from the guy who produced that album.
Yeah,
and took up with Rick Rubin.
Yeah. And it's the first one where he kind of let loose on the guitar under his own kind of thing. Just the sound of it is just fantastic.
Mm.
Well, you think about it, it's a weird thing, isn't it? 'Cause you've already got this band that's established, so even after, what was it, Freaky Styley? Is that the final one? No, Uplift Mofo Party Plan.
Yeah, wasn't it Freaky Styley, then Uplift Mofo Party Plan, then Mother's Blood Sugar Sex Magik? I remember, I don't know, I was like 12 when this came out. So
that came out in 1991, so it came out the same year as Black Album by Metallica, which again, it's the second album after a major member has been lost as well, especially a major member who was part of the songwriting process. Cliff Burton died after Master of Puppets, so Newsted had been there for And Justice and Black Album. But what I was going to say...
drummer as well, before there was another guy before Chad, wasn't there, who left because of Hillel dying?
Yeah, I believe, I'll have to double check. I'm pretty sure he was called Jack Irons.
Yes, he was.
He was the drummer, and then he left on after Uplift Mofo Party Plan after Hillel's death, because he just didn't think he could cope with carrying on without Hillel.
Yeah, he part of something that caused his friends to die, I think is his quote that he put out there.
There was also another legendary quote that followed that, is Flea and Anthony were running around somewhere, and I think Anthony was high, and Flea was concerned with the way everything is playing out. Hillel's dead, Jack's left. They already know other people who had died from overdose, whatever, around them. And Flea sort of puts the question to him, like, when are we going to stop doing this? And Anthony responds with, I'm going to be the white James Brown. And Flea has no argument for that.
Oh, wow. I never knew that one.
Yeah, I did a reading on Flea the other day as well, apparently. And apparently during touring for this album, Flea took a girl back to his hotel room to have sex, and spent the entire time in the bathroom crying because he was thinking about his wife and kid.
Oh, man.
Oh, bless him. No.
Oh, bless him.
Does it say whether he consummated the act, or did he literally just cry?
I don't think he did. I think he got back and then went into the bathroom.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Bolsary, on this one time, played faithful.
But yeah, I think it's definitely a time where they cleaned up a little bit, because that producer from Warner Bros. They wanted him before, but he wouldn't work with them because of the amount of drugs involved, and it scared him a little bit. So for him to now get involved now, he definitely must have felt a bit more comfortable.
And he did one of the later albums as well, didn't he? I think it was like Stadium Arcadium or somewhere around that sort of area.
Yeah, I think he came back. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I can't remember, because I know he definitely didn't do One Hot Minute. I don't know if he did like Cali or if he did By the Way, but something later on, I'm pretty sure.
Dave Navarro, man, what is he all about? Like, guy, everything.
Well, yeah, he had an interesting look, shall we say?
He married Electra. Do you even know who that is?
Sorry, I didn't. What did you say? What did you say?
Dave Navarro. He married Carmen Electra.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Carmen Electra.
I do know who that is.
How can you not know who that is?
So Rick Rubin did Californication.
Californication. I knew it was one of the ones where John came back.
To Stadium Arcadium as well. Just trying to have a look through. Just show me Red Hot Chili Pepper stuff. I don't care about all that other nonsense. He did do One Hot Minute.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he pretty much did everything from this point onwards up until...
Did you know they've only just started playing tunes from One Hot Minute on tour again? Because once Dave Navarro left the band, they didn't play anything from One Hot Minute for like 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they just stopped playing any songs he had anything to do with, because they were like his songs, you know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would have felt weird, them sort of trying to do it.
I think My Friends is one of the staples of them when they sort of wind down their shows, which is cool because it's a great song.
Fair.
So yeah, Blood Sugar Sex Magik. I'm getting off topic now.
So you said
you
said you were about 12 years old when this was released. So obviously, me and Jake, we're listening to this back in time, sort of thing. Did you listen to this when you were growing up? Then were you a fan of them at the time?
Oh, yeah. I'd never heard them before. My older brother got the album, and he was kind of into them, but not really an avid fan. And then it was around the time when MTV just started to become a big thing, and at the time, Under the Bridge was like everywhere. It was, you imagine like, you probably went around for Everything I Do by Bryan Adams, right?
I know the song. I don't remember whether.
Gary, remember we are children compared to you.
Yeah, I know. It was just everywhere. Every album, or every advert. And there was so much speculation around the time about what Under the Bridge was about, and it was like, oh, he murdered someone. No, he didn't murder someone. Drugs. It's about, it wasn't until I read his book that you actually got the story of what Under the Bridge was actually about. And it was basically because he had to pretend to be like a boyfriend of someone in a gang so that he could get across a certain part of town to get under a bridge.
Gang, yeah.
And get under the bridge and buy some heroin. It was kind of one of the lowest points that he says it was his life and his addiction, etc.
Now, going back to Under the Bridge, then obviously that's probably the song that propelled him to the mainstream because it was the most sort of unlikely kind of song that they would have expected from these people who are just known for their sophomore humour and dancing around a lot.
Yeah, and it was on MTV like at least every hour, at least, probably more. But it was just.
I remember it still getting shown all the time when I was younger, and this is when by the time they brought out all of their latest stuff and stuff as well.
Well, that's the thing for us, I think, Connor. Back in 2000, 2001, I don't know how much Kerrang you used to watch.
Yeah, quite a bit.
But Californication was on constant rotation. You would hear it
always.
Pretty much every hour and a half. You'd hear Californication. But with Under the Bridge, the funny thing, it's the song that almost never was.
Yes, because he didn't want to make it, did he? He thought the rest of the band were going to not like it.
He just wrote it as a sort of poem to himself.
Yeah, and it was Rick Ross, whatever the producer was called.
Rick Rubin.
Rubin, there you go. That convinced him to do it, and then they kind of played it for the band, and the rest of the band loved it. And it's probably still one of their biggest or the most widely known songs today. It was that much of a thing.
Well, that's
none of the other songs they released off the album even got anywhere near as popular, like Breaking the Girl and things like that, which in itself is a great tune.
Yeah, it's an amazing tune. But I think like we were alluding to earlier, this is like when they started to mature with their sound a little bit, because before this they're very hard and they still have they're really into their hard and their hard style rock and then a lot of funk. But then this is when they start to add a bit more melody into it, and they're not afraid to slow down a little bit. And in Breaking the Girl, you have these pipes in the background that reminds me of like a Beatles song in a way, which is so different. It's so different to what they had done before. And you can see them, starting to evolve with their music and everything, which is really, really cool in the album because they always flip back and forth between it.
Yeah, I mean, the first song that really grabbed me off the album is If You Have to Ask. I remember, very vaguely, the first time I heard it, I really didn't think much of the power of equality. It was all kind of, a bit of a message that was kind of beyond me as a 12-year-old. But Funky Motherfucker was a completely different story. Time to go.
I can't see. I don't know which, because I would have heard Californication and By the Way first as an album before, just because of my age in comparison. So going back and listening to Blood Sugar Sex Magik the first time, I think for me it was just having songs like "Naked in the Rain," which is something I don't think people care or talk about really. But it's like, oh, this and it's got a bass solo, awesome. That does it for me.
All of the songs on the album are fantastic. I don't think there's one song on the album that I ever skip if I'm listening to it.
Mm.
You know, it can't be the the same can't be said for a lot of other albums I've listened to, because like skip, but that I will listen to in its entirety every time I put it on.
Well, and it caters really well to listen to it from start to finish to the end, because each song mixes into each other so well. Like the album, the song selection and the song order was chosen really, really well, and the way it's produced, you don't even realize it's flowing into another song, or like it just flows so well.
Yeah. Well, it's like the power of equality flows into If You Have to Ask so fluidly that it doesn't even miss a beat, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like instant.
CD, but, you know, I think I was listening to it on tape originally, so, yeah.
It's right. We remember what tape was. We were the generation that would still have it.
Yeah, what tape was, man. Like high-speed dubbing and trying to record the top 40 and... Yeah, and my brother made me stay up late to like record like dance clubs he was going into, and ridiculous.
Oh wow, yeah, different time.
Yeah, white.
One of the songs on the album I would like to talk about for a minute. We were saying about the maturity of their sound, how they had evolved. I could have lied. That is a song. It is a complete.
That's the Sinead O'Connor one, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So the story was that he and Sinead were dating at the time. Sinead has denied it.
Oh my goodness! I was laughing for a completely different reason. I thought you were like just alluding to a soft, like lamey sort of sound, and I was like, "All right."
No, there's actual story behind it.
Yeah, no, sorry, I feel really bad now.
Famously tore up a picture of the Pope on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
He famously went bald and Muslim.
Yeah, well, she was always bald. She always had skinhead. I've never seen her with anything other than just a grade 1 or whatever. But
no, whereas I think it was a couple of years back.
Yeah, she was a freak then. She's a freak now.
Well, yeah. So that's what I thought. I thought you were alluding to like this sort of just because obviously it's a very different song, like you were just alluding to. Like it's a very mature, different song, and I just think I thought you were just exaggerating it to be like, oh yeah, they've become full on like this. I had no idea about that it was specifically about her.
Yeah, about their sort of tempestuous relationship.
Right. Because
it wasn't a long-term relationship. It was only a couple of weeks, basically.
He kind of felt the need to document it, so something must have gone on.
Wow, fair.
Well, the title as well. I could have lied. What could he have lied about?
Exactly.
I reckon he had somebody suck an 8-ball off his cock.
Oh wow.
That's where I reckon it happened.
And Sinead probably wouldn't like that because she's all into like Jesus and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really into it, yeah.
The Pope that she ripped up on Saturday Night Live, it was actually a representation of Anthony Kiedis.
That's it. That's exactly it.
It's like, you had that 8-ball sniffed off your cock.
Yeah. First head here. Here's some breaking news.
Went suck. Again, people, we do not endorse drugs of any kind except those that make you feel good.
Isn't it?
No,
and that's my PSA.
No, everybody, I will I'll bring us back to a normal level. We are not endorsing anything.
What drugs have you taken, Connor, that have made you like have
I'm
a good
not
time?
talking about my personal drug.
I suppose once, man. I tell you, woo! Except with ibuprofen, and you have got a night.
I swear, everyone's just determined to make this podcast as unaccessible or disliked as possible.
I think it
adds to. I think we're all people. Adds to the realism. We're all people, man.
Yeah, no, I'm only joking and exaggerating. Like, I'm just.
I just want to create a podcast that's only known for being hateful.
Yeah.
As a sociopath, I
Right.
just want
Do
to
you know
die.
him racing bulls? Has he told you about that?
No, I've never told him that. I don't believe.
He crop dusted one of them.
Do you reckon the world
So
needs?
do give her a head start and give her a shot.
I like this. This is turning back on you, Jake.
Do you want me to tell the story, G? Do you want me to give it a proper Jugganora treatment?
Can do. I mean, I saw the traffic director earlier as well. That was fun.
Yeah, she's always interesting. So, right, basically, Connor, going to and from work is a boring endeavour.
Right.
I like I'm presenting this on a humanist level, like, if I can get them on my side early.
Yeah.
And especially when it's 4 buses in total, so I've got 2 buses to get out to where I work, 2 buses back. And there's one person on this bus, I believe she's got like club foot or something like that. She's got a build-up shoe. And so when she walks, it's, one leg's out to the side and it's sort of stiff walking.
Right.
How does it go?
She doesn't speak like that. Her leg does.
Oh God.
But so both me and her will be getting off on the same bus.
Mm.
And this had been happening somewhat for years, because it was always the same when I worked, like before I worked where I work now, so about 5 years, like that. And there came a certain point a couple of years back where I was like, well, we're both walking in the same direction, and I always feel weird, like just staying back just to give her moral support, and not blitzing her. I'm going to race her. And I just overtook
Humanitarian.
Well, it started out as me being like, well, this feels awkward, sitting back and waiting for her all the time, like just so she doesn't feel bad. So I'm going to demolish her.
Jesus.
So she'd be, I'd say, walking. I've seen walking. It's sort of similar. She was limping up the street, and I'm assessing the options. And I went, I'm going to overtake her. And it was like I had a rocket up my arse all of a sudden. I just flew past her.
Oh man.
Like, if it was a cartoon, she would have been like spinning around. Like, whoa, what happened? And I continued this behaviour for a longish period of time. I'd start giving her head starts. I'd let her have 5 minutes. I'd have a
Head
smoke
start.
I'd have a smoke at the bus stop. See how far she's gotten up the street. And then I'd unleash the man. I would zip past her
Yelling at young lady.
fast as I could. Like, drenched in sweat for all the effort. And this continued for a while. And there was another old guy who used to get off around the same sort of time as well. And if he was around, I would beat his ass too, because they need to learn. But the worst story, and G knows what comes next on this. It's this a few months now, isn't it? I think like 6 months.
Yeah, it's been a while now, to be fair. With lockdown in between and that.
Yeah, I was like about 6 months ago. Again, she's got a bit of a head start. I kick in gear. As I'm overtaking her, and bear in mind it's up a hill, so as I overtake her, there was an escape of gas from my arse, which was unexpected.
Oh man.
And it was loud, and it smelt fucking awful. And my arse was at head level for her, behind me on that hill at that point. And I kept walking. It was like somebody had launched a sarin attack on her. So she was just like, whoa, whoa. She was sort of, seriously, I've seen pictures of like, soldiers after they've been mustard gassed.
Poor woman got hit by VX.
It was just like
Nicholas Cage to sort that shit out.
Trail of fart effectively follows me as well, so she has no escape from this cloud that is billowed around her. And 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 I didn't want to look back because I didn't want to see her facial reaction. I waited until I was a little bit further away, and I had a quick glance, and her face was not happy. She was not happy. But for that reason, I get called a sociopath.
I mean,
I
you
think
are.
is-
You are for that reason and many other reasons.
Yeah, I've been saying it for months, and he tries to disprove it every time, and every time fails.
just even to the smallest detail, even the concept that you feel like you have to race someone that you get off the bus with, and it's only competitive for you.
Well, she could make it competitive.
No, Remy.
It's not my fault that she doesn't want to compete. That shows a lack of heart and desire on her. Like, how unhappy must she feel knowing that she's getting her ass kicked each and every time? All she's got to do is just...
But she doesn't, because she's not involved. You're imposing something, and the worst bit is she has no idea.
Oh, well, so next time as I go past her, I should lay down some smack talk.
Yeah, like bring a spray,
Come on, motherfucker.
a can, and spray on the floor. Start line, and be like, "This
Pull
is
out
happening."
I mean, to be fair, I would probably have enough time to spray that as we get off the bus before she even gets past the start line.
Bless her.
Stay out of that cupboard.
Oh yeah, I've got nothing.
I'm just
I was
having
gonna say,
to control
Yeah,
the
sorry.
child a second.
yeah,
Remy. Remy. No, I don't want them all. Just stop. Get out of Mummy's cupboard. Yes. Playing with spiky things.
Oh no.
she already discovered Mortal Kombat. Is she trying to hit the other baby into the pit?
She is Mortal Kombat, mate.
She is Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, when I
Yeah,
said
she-
she was the devil earlier, I'm not lying.
Yeah, she's full on emotional warfare. That's what she is.
God bless.
I was once left in the car with just her whilst Gary was collecting a few bits, and she managed to unstrap my seatbelt, hang me out the car by my leg, and was demanding lunch money off me.
Oh wow.
She's
That's,
evil.
that is evil. That's a powerful child.
Then when Gary came back in the car, she was all like, "Hello," waving the little hand. And I'm there, like,
She
playing a
my
game.
giant is fair. She's she's 3 years old and she's already in close for a 6-year-old. She's a unit.
There
Yeah,
you go. That's good. That's
you should
good.
get her into rugby.
she weighs like a metric ton, man. It's ridiculous. So I've got an 8-year-old nephew, and I can pick up with one hand, and it's like picking up a doll. You know, it's like it's nothing to you. Whereas every time my child gives me a hernia.
Now, going back to I Could Have Lied as well,
Yeah.
that guitar solo.
Yes.
It's
John
just
Frusciante.
fantastic. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
Frusciante, man. John Frusciante's the king, and he always has been. And I'm so happy he's back in the band. I do feel bad about Josh, but at the same time,
yeah, it's great that he's back. I mean, but Josh, really did good things for their sound as
oh
well.
yeah, completely. Like they were just a
That
different.
double Yeah.
Yeah, they were
I
just a
mean-
different band, equally as good. I mean, I've been lucky enough to see the Chili's live twice now, and the last time I saw them, he was unbelievable, and he did a cover of Pyramid basically just on his own, and it blew my mind. It was so amazing, and they had great energy with him as well, and it's not better or worse. I don't mean I'm glad John's back just because the Chili's will be better. I mean, I'm glad John's back because I get to hear more stuff from him because he is.
He is brilliant. I mean, that solo on Dark Necessities is a perfect example of Klingerhofer or Klinghoffer, whatever it's
Klinghoffer.
Yeah,
If
nothing compared to John, really.
I think
Yeah.
if people want to hear Klinghoffer at his peak for whilst he was in Chili's, you should check out it's not the B-side, it was the extra cuts they had done from I'm With You,
Yeah.
which I think is called On Beside You,
Yeah.
where It's
Yeah,
all
I
the
know
songs
that.
that didn't make the album, and it had stuff like Long Progression or How It Ends, Catch My Death. Josh on that is another beast from what he was on that album,
Yeah.
and his stuff on there is phenomenal. And he also had a great voice as well.
Yeah, and he plays keyboard and everything, doesn't he? He's a multi-platform musician, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the irony being, he was, I think, Spheres into the Heart of Silence, one of John Frusciante's solo albums. I could have gotten the wrong album. Josh played on that. He also played on Inside of Emptiness as well by John Frusciante. So they had this close relationship where Josh would do a bunch of music with John. John would do a bunch of music as well in like all instruments just by them two. And he even sung on one of John's solo songs,
Which is sick.
Yeah, it's weird.
What you want to watch as well is there are 2 videos to give it away. There's the one with them all painted silver in the desert.
Yeah.
And then there's another one which is all filmed from like a documentary, I think, that Flea's brother made.
Yes.
And it's them in the mansion filming the album. And just you can tell John's off his head just by looking at him.
So he wasn't at that time. He was off his head on pretty much from the tour onwards. So he started to dabble a little bit, but from the tour onwards is when he went completely off the rails.
Yeah, because of the fame, which is he got so overwhelmed by the fame, and that's why he actually left the band during that tour, didn't he?
Yeah, he just couldn't take it.
Well, and he hung Anthony out to dry on was it Letterman?
Yeah,
I think it was Saturday Night Live, wasn't it? Again,
it might have been Saturday Night Live again. It was a talk show.
Yeah, he played in the wrong pitch, didn't he, or the wrong key or something? And
yeah, he played the song in the wrong key. And Anthony Kiedis is not. He'll be the first to admit that he's not exactly. He's not like the storybook definition of a great singer. So he is heavily reliant on everything having to be in the right key and pitch for him to be able to do. And especially Under the Bridge, he's mentioned it that he struggled with that for years. That song on Sickler. So yeah, Josh plays off in this wrong key and a random gets out of random at one point. And you can just see Anthony look at him throughout the whole song like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Stab me here. And then I think it was in Japan. I think that played his last show.
He played the song and then flew home, didn't he?
Yeah, because he was
one gig and then flew home.
He refused to play the gig when they were there. They had to convince him to play the gig. Then he played the gig and fucked off. And they had to get. I'm pretty sure I've got the name written down actually somewhere.
Axel something or other. Something Axel was it?
Eric Marshall.
Yeah, there you go.
Who I'm assuming with their guitar.
In 2 of the music videos, he's in
Soul Squeeze.
Break Go, and it might be Soul to Squeeze.
Because obviously Soul to Squeeze is.
Yeah, there's only 2 videos that he's in.
Yeah, Breaking the Girl's got a shit ton of people in it, but I think John's in Breaking the Girl though as well, isn't he?
No.
See, I thought he was.
No, it's Flea in a weird suit and Anthony with Princess Leia buns.
Yeah.
Anthony looking very beautiful.
Dancing around in a red lycra suit.
Going back to the music video for actually before we do that, do you know what the B-side to Breaking the Girl was?
No.
Fella's Cock. There you go.
Fair enough.
Trying to see. Yeah, it was. Yeah, just Eric. Oh no, the other video wasn't Soul to Squeeze. The other video was If You Have to Ask.
Ah, there you go.
And also River Phoenix appears in Breaking the Girl.
Yeah.
And they're close friends with. There's a river to be.
Yeah, Flea rode in the ambulance with River Phoenix after he overdosed outside of Viper Room.
Yeah, he did.
At the time.
Yeah, they were very, very close friends. Yeah, even with the shout out and give it away. But the music video Give It Away, that was their first real test for John, because they had done a few videos on Mother's Milk for like Knock Me Down, things like that, but it was all quite standard stuff.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to paint John up silver and have him dance in the desert, and they didn't know whether he would take to it or not. And apparently he went out there like a fucking maniac, and they were like, yeah, he's cool. He's good.
They look all look absolutely insane in the video.
They are. They look like they're having the best time though. That must have
Yeah.
been such a crazy video to film, and they look mental. I remember watching that video when I was a kid, and I was like, it almost put me off the band because I was like, I love the song, but these guys look like maniacs. They look fucked up.
They are mental.
Well, it's weird to see him at the start silver with his tongue out, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's weird.
Maybe, yeah.
And
The whole fucking album, those singles aside, like, yeah, I'm with you, G. The Power of Equality. Well, at first it didn't really mesh with me until I realised where I am politically, anyway. And then as soon as you realise it's that fuck you
the
kind of
message
thing.
was lost on me for at least a few years.
Well, like, so did your sensibilities on the album change as you grew up?
Yeah. I mean, like, first time I heard it, I really didn't get an awful lot of all the overly sexualized lyrics.
So Psycho Sexy was a different song for you back then.
It was. I thought it was just about, you know, like a fun guy about town, and then, like, you know, hang on, what's he doing to a policewoman?
It's a fun guy about town, but he's got a devil in his dick and some demon in his semen.
Yeah, but, you know, I didn't know what semen was, man. I knew what dick was, but
He's got a devil in his dick. Oh, and those seamen over there, they've got some demons in them blokes.
That's the thing.
I don't know.
That's the thing. It works because on this whole album that they're having fun, and Anthony's doing some wacky fun lyrics, and then he's also getting in other songs really deep and really emotional as well.
Yeah.
But they always keep a really energetic sound going, even in their like slower or more ballady songs. They always build, and they have these crazy big choruses that are awesome, man. Really, really awesome.
So I've got a question for the pair of you now.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Get on the spot here. Now, I said the Black Album came out around this sort of time. Can you tell me on what? No, yeah, rather, can you tell me what album came out on the exact same day as Blood Sugar Sex Magik?
Oh wow!
And it's a era-defining album.
An era-defining album.
Is it now? That's what I call music. Number one.
Maybe. Oh, it's it would change. The album that came out changed music for at least the next 3 or 4 years.
Stop being cryptic,
Prodigy.
man.
What's that, G?
Prodigy. Oh, what was it called?
If I tell you the album,
Generation.
nope. If I tell you the album cover was a baby swimming underwater after.
Is it Nevermind?
Nevermind came out on the exact same day and date.
Wow.
Mate.
That's good. So how
Now-
how well did? Sorry, what was that?
Fuck Kurt Cobain, he's always shooting his mouth off.
All right. So
See, I was never really into Nirvana.
oh man, I love Nirvana so much. Nevermind is actually one of my favorite albums as well. So because Nevermind was a massive hit when that first came out.
Suppose
So did
Not when
that
it first came out.
Huh?
That's the thing. I think it's. I could be entirely wrong here, but I'm supposing that when the album came out, I don't know whether Smells Like Teen Spirit had already been out as a single, or if Smells Like Teen
Right.
Spirit was coming out as a
Yeah.
single.
yeah, that again was another song that was on MTV an awful lot.
Yeah.
Help but like it because your brain had no choice.
Oh yeah, because it's just that easy, lovely verse.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, and the riff.
I'm thankful Nirvana gave us Dave Grohl though.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, well, so Nirvana are just a fucking legendary band for good reason, man. And wow, what a good year for music. I mean, I'm personally indifferent towards the Black Album. I prefer the stuff before, but I understand why it's got such a big following because it is an amazing album. And then Nevermind, and then Blood, Sex, Sugar Magic. Did this album do well when it was released?
Yeah. It did better than their other albums. It was really introduced them to this part of the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
It was definitely one of those I ever heard.
It was both a critical and commercial success.
Mm.
Yeah, like
Um,
500 copies or something, wasn't it?
it's a ridiculous. Obviously, it's still sold to this day as well, and is probably platinum all over.
Yeah,
Multi-times platinum. I'm just trying to work out what happened with Nevermind. So 6 days before it was released was when Smells Like Teen Spirit came out.
Right.
But I think their best estimates is going to be about 255,000 copies sold, but later they revamped that to 500,000. But it doesn't say how well it actually did. But that's the thing. In terms, like, on the initial release anyway, after the whole grunge movement really kicks off, it's, that album itself.
Yeah.
Although it did chart when it was released. It would have been number 1 on the US Billboard, but I don't know. It doesn't tell you when either, because that's just peak position.
Yeah, they just do that.
But this album. Pardon?
I did like "Come As You Are" off that one.
Yeah, so that was the second single from that album. So that was when they got to show a little bit more of their music-y side, as opposed to just.
Impression of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" is I couldn't really understand an awful lot of what he says.
Well, that's the biggest thing with Kurt Cobain in general, and a lot of singers that have sort of taken that influence elsewhere. I mean, they like, it's a lot of hurry, kind of like, it's like pirate singing. I mean, he actually had, like, I wouldn't call it a great voice, but it's definitely a really unique voice. He hits some major notes.
Especially if you listen to, say, Unplugged.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. To be Unplugged album, that's legendary, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it was just a very, you got to admire how unique the music was for the time, and the sound they managed to came out with. And I think, you, especially on first listen to a Nirvana song, you don't get anything in terms of content in terms of lyrical content. But the thing is, it definitely makes enough that you do want to keep listening. Like, the songs are catchy enough that you keep wanting to listen back to them, and then you delve into the lyrics and you sort of get them after a while, and then you go, wow, this is a really deep, personal, and dark but real album.
Yeah, he was another one that couldn't take the fame, though, could he? And
not many people can, man. Not many people can. It was a different time to now as well, where, like, there is just so much. Like, obviously, we're not going too far back, but you definitely didn't have internet famous, and you didn't have, like, because now anybody. It's not to say now anybody can become famous, but there's so many different levels of fame and celebrity that it's almost desensitized to it. I'm not saying it's easier to be famous now, but it was just a different thing to be famous back then.
I think nowadays it's easier for the wrong type of personality to become famous. So the person who wouldn't be able to cope with the fame is more likely to be in a position where they could get famous nowadays.
Completely.
But back then,
more access, isn't there? More exposure.
I think the main issue was, though, and you can say I'm wrong on this, but I think after spending a couple of years married to Courtney Love, I would be happy to have a shotgun in my mouth.
Oh, man.
I mean,
controversial.
She looks like a first draft of a Van Gogh painting, doesn't she?
I always think of her as Guernica with lipstick.
Just Courtney Love. What?
But I think as well, like, if you compare it, because, like, for people like John Frusciante and Kurt Cobain, fame happened, like, overnight, and you go from you go from almost unknown or fairly well known within your scene to being worldwide famous. And I think nowadays you get, like, this sort of slow release fame where you rise up the ranks, you get your following and you get more exposure, because everyone gets exposure at a small level nowadays. But, like, when back then you were either playing clubs and on a few radio shows, and then you got a few records out and singles, and then suddenly you were played all over the world, and you got all these gigs and people were screaming your name, and, like,
I think we're downplaying one thing, though, for at least from John's side of things. John Frusciante, when he joined the Chili's, he was 19.
Yeah,
that's-
really young.
So he's what, 22 when this gets released?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. 21, 22.
Yeah, so to suddenly be, oh, I'm an icon. That's a
selling-
weird mind shift.
Yeah, and bearing in mind as well, that's 19 years old, but already having a pretty rough life up until that point as well. If you
Yeah.
know much about him, like that's
Maybe
a
a bit-
Well, going
Okay.
back to the alternate video of Give It Away.
Mm.
So that film, it wasn't Flea's brother. It was Flea's
No.
brother. It was his brother-in-law. So got like a fake brother, but yeah, they're close enough.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember where they recorded it?
It's the mansion, isn't it, in LA, which is
Yeah.
where he used to live.
Where's the Houdini Mansion? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, for people who do want to check out that whole, not the alternate video so much, but it's from a documentary that they made about the whole album and the writing of the album. It's called
Monks.
Funky Monks, indeed, and it's a really good watch.
Yes.
And that's I'm plugging something that came out in 1991 now.
That's cool though, because I'd never known that. I haven't seen that documentary, so that's something for me to watch. So I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, it's
And
worth a
yeah,
watch.
they all stayed in the mansion except for Chad. And there's a couple of stories about why Chad didn't stay. One involves ghosts. The other one involves him going home to see his wife.
I think it's a mixture of both. I'm pretty sure he was like, "No, there's ghosts here. I'm gonna go stay with my wife." Which is,
John is actually quoted as saying, like, "Yeah, there's some ghosts here, but we're getting like a real positive vibe. It's all good. There's no Carol Ann going on."
he was like, "Yeah, they're all friendly ghosts," and I feel them when I play my music. Like John's always been like that though, because his solo albums, he's like, "Yeah, I just got the voice of the spirit to guide through me," and it's like, "Oh, is that why you just made a noise like a fucking dolphin? Is it?"
Oh man, yeah, his solo stuff was just mental.
My smile is a rifle.
It's from last thing.
But I think with the songs we focused on so far, we've barely scratched the surface. There's 17 songs in
It's a
total.
big album, man. It's a big album.
And apparently, there's a whole other disc CD worth that never even made it into the album at all.
Really?
It was going to be released in 2 parts originally.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me because these guys, they've got such chemistry together. I mean, especially, this is one of the reasons why I'm excited that Frusciante's back, because Frusciante and Flea together, they can just jam for hours. And the amount of content they must push out that never gets heard anywhere is insane.
They used to have jam-offs.
Yeah, and that's why Dave Navarro had real trouble writing One Hot Minute with them, because he can't write a song like that.
Yeah, he can't keep up. I mean, who could though? It's insane.
Yeah.
Chad Smith was the guy that could keep up. Only on account of, did you ever hear the story of his audition?
No.
Yeah, they didn't want to take him, did they? Because he didn't look very rock and roll.
Yeah, so when he turned up to the audition,
Even then were they like, there's going to be a famous person called Will Ferrell who looks a lot like you?
So he introduced himself as to them. Yeah, I'm Will Ferrell. I'm here to audition.
I'm glad somebody the Will Ferrell thing, because do you know they do so much like stuff together?
Mate,
Chad,
it's hilarious.
Well, it's after they did because they did the drum off, didn't they? On
Jimmy Fallon.
Fallon, that was it. And then they ended it with them
each other, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm glad they got Chad though, because like that guy as a drummer is unbelievable, and he makes a drum kit sound that he makes a sound come out of a kit that no one else can replicate, especially the way he hits a snare. It's so sharp and crisp.
These weird almost skip beats, doesn't he? Yeah.
He's almost like, in the drumming world, he's pretty iconic for the sounds he can make. And it's not necessarily the beats. Like, obviously, anybody can, once you learn a song, you can learn the beat and you can drum the beat, which he does do. He creates really unique, amazing beats. It's just the way he tunes his drums and the sound he manages to get out of them. And it may be the way he hits them as well. I've never heard anyone make a snare drum or any of the drums sound so crisp. And he's so on point in the timing, and it's crazy. It's crazy crisp. He's like one of my favorite drummers of all time. And yeah,
It's fantastic.
and he drums these incredible beats that are so funky and groovy. And when he plays them live, he just looks like it's the easiest shit on earth to him as well.
Well, at his audition, worst thing with his audition, so they've gone through reams of people. He turned up, they look at him and go, well, he's just a fucking backwards rocker, isn't he? But they're like, let's see if this git can keep up with us. So they all start playing, they're going fast. And Chad's keeping beat absolutely perfectly fine. And then he starts speeding up. And they have to try and catch up with him. And that's the point where they like, okay, he's a very good drummer. And they said to him, like, you've got the gig. All you've got to do is when we want to meet up here next week, you've got to have your hair cut off because we can't have you with that long hair. And he turned up with his hair the same way he'd always had it. And they were like, yeah, fuck it. He's still awesome.
That's fair, man. That's a cool story.
It's quite funny because throughout the Blood Sugar Sex Magik album, Anthony has got long hair. So
yeah, man.
I think it's the way they have their long hair, isn't it? Because Anthony had more of the he had like a little artsy style long hair.
yeah.
But he Chad Smith, like the best way to describe him is he looked like a trucker.
He did.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been the more pedestrian-looking member of the band.
If I remember right,
he actually looks like someone you'd like to meet. Where a lot of the time, the rest of the band, you look like you want to avoid them.
Really takes his shirt off.
Yeah.
I'm also pretty sure he turned up to that audition on like a Harley Davidson wearing a leather jacket as well. And that also put them off. But that's how he used to. That's how he like with him not being the only, with him being the only one who was staying outside the house as well when they were doing the recording. He used to turn up on his Harley every day.
Fair.
Yeah.
Whereas John,
was there on time, wasn't he? That was one of the comments. He was always on time and ready to go when we were.
Yeah.
So.
The sort of professional one of the group.
Yeah. Dependable.
So what I'm going to do then, we're going to go into the guessing game of favourite songs.
Ooh.
So firstly, I'm going to get
straight out of left field for it. But anyway, carry on.
I'm going to guess yours, Gary, because I've been bigging it up behind the scenes here to my co-host, saying I've got Gary's. I know what Gary's is going to be, 100%.
Really?
I think it's going to be So Psycho Sexy.
It's not.
Whoa! You were so wrong. Wait, sorry. Before you actually say what it is, he's not joking. He was actually bigging it up. He's like, yeah, I'll know Gary. So the real challenge is going to be yours, Connor. But I'm so glad because this is a real shot to his system. There's no way he's going to get mine now. He's a broken man.
I'll still get yours, you little shrimp. But no, I would just because we've listened to it a lot in the car. I think is probably
it's my favourites. Don't get me wrong. It's up there. But for me, the icing on the top of the cake is My Lovely Man.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, I should have known that. Because I've got that little bass line for you, didn't I?
But you didn't know, mate. But you didn't know it, did you?
No, fair.
It sounds like nothing else on the album. That's one of the reasons why I like it. It's like so hard, but that's because it's a tribute to Hillel Slovak again, and he loved the hard guitar. It's you know, I love it. It's great. Whenever you hear it, I'm like, yeah. I used to shout across the room to you. Anyway.
So I'm going to now cast my gaze over at Connor. Do you want to have a guess at Connor's as well, G?
Ooh.
He doesn't know me.
He doesn't know you. It doesn't mean you can't have a guess.
I'm going to judge you on your guess.
You seem to be in a Patty Rose Peacock, man.
What about you? What are you guessing, Jake? What are you guessing?
The problem is I know what you like. But the issue is this album is full with all the kinds of things that you like.
That's also true.
So
you smell a poo, you're going to have to go and see Mummy.
That's for all the audience listening. He wasn't talking to me or Jake then.
He was.
No, it was my 3-year-old.
This is my episode title. I do smell like poo poo. I've been running
really
down
nice to see your eyes. Oof.
Do you want to go sort of for a minute, mate? Because we can always cut.
Yeah, I'll be back in a second. Hang on.
Yeah, no worries.
Come on in.
And for the first time ever on this show, we have had a man who needs to take a baby.
I do feel bad for you, man. I think this may be a bit an editing nightmare a little bit.
It'll be fine. Like, majority of it, we can just leave uncut. There was did have one weird bit in just a minute ago. Do you guys have it all go static, or are you still talking?
No, I don't think so. There's been some bubbly noise every now and then.
I'll see how it goes on the when I watch back the recording. It's just mine froze up for a minute or two, so hopefully it just captures everything that happened that I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
As my
Okay.
says, she shits like a trucker.
Well, what we'll do is, before we start talking again, I'll say cut point. So
Yeah.
So when I do edit it later, I know exactly where to do things. We were guessing songs. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Reed,
Yeah.
you went for Apache Rose Peacock, didn't you, G?
I did.
I'm going to need to
Trouble with
narrow.
it is, there's many good ones.
Yeah,
I
so
know
so
this-
as a disclaimer, I think we can all say that we all love the whole album, and whatever songs are our favorite are one, really hard to actually decide, and two, it's only like the tiniest bit above the rest. It's just because you're more likely to listen to it more or something like that.
Yours is either going to be If You Have to Ask or Suck My Kiss.
Ooh, you are wrong, my friend.
Ah.
Both.
I mean, you know.
Well, especially when talking about the Chili's, this is a next to impossible question because like we love all of them. But no, I would say my favorite probably in the album is Breaking the Girl.
Fair enough.
I
Good.
love Breaking the Girl, and I think it's because of the only reason it's my favorite on this album is because it's so different, and I still don't think they've made a song like it as well with the kind of production. I think it's because it's one of the more unique Chili songs that it's one of my favorites on the album.
And now you know what it's about.
There you go. Yeah, there we go.
Breaking the Girl, isn't it?
Pardon?
Yeah, it's about how his dad's mixed up relationships with females and the constant stream of sex throughout that property.
Yeah.
How it affected Anthony's views on sex.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like the personal storytelling within the song. I mean, he doesn't really do a lot of storytelling as such, where he kind of does it in a poetic, cryptic way that you kind of have to dig under the surface to get the meaning of. But if you know, you know. And also, I've already alluded to earlier, I just like those weird flute noises in the background. I think they really do something for me. I mean, I don't know why. And then I'm a bit of a sucker for acoustic guitar anyway. I love acoustic guitar. And it's a nice tempo. I like how everything meshes together. That's why it's my fave, I think.
Jake likes They're Red Hot because you just want a song you can't understand.
Well, so
Am I taking that as your guess?
No.
Good. You
I
get a
guess
reprieve.
you. It's difficult because I know some of the ridiculous shit you like to listen to.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a clue. On one of the songs, I bought an entire new bass to play it.
Right.
Oh, really?
Oh wow, I may be wrong. I was so sure coming into this podcast because I know you're a massive fan of "Suck My Kiss" and "Give It Away" and stuff, but everyone's a massive fan of those songs.
So come on, throw some songs at me, people.
I'm gonna stick with my
with the name. Oh,
What's that?
I'm gonna stick.
Standing around, I got my baby and my top
Naked in the
down.
Rain.
Here we go round, a rocking for my love. That one.
Yeah, that's "Naked in the Rain," isn't it?
That's it. Naked in the Rain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then so he's going with "Naked in the Rain." I'm gonna stick with my guns, and I'm gonna say "Power Over Equality."
Nope. And no.
Not yet.
So
See.
there were two that I would have accepted. Breaking the Girl
Ah, really?
because I love that song.
Yeah.
But no, the one that had to buy a whole new bass to be able to play is Righteous and the Wicked, because it's on a 5-string.
I did know that. I did know that. Ah, that's annoying.
That's the whole reason I bought it.
It's just they're all so
It's
good.
impossible.
It is, yeah. They're all so good. Question. I mean, obviously, Gary, this is your favorite Chili's album.
Yeah.
Is it yours, Jake?
By the way, is mine.
Yeah.
But it's a good one though. I mean,
I think because for me it's a mixture of that was there when I was starting to get properly into music, whereas I didn't discover Blood Sugar Sex Magik till later. I think overall Blood Sugar is the best album, but just for me personally, By the Way is always the one that I can go to. You know, songs like Venice, Warm Tape.
Okay, like it's what resonates, isn't it, with you?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you got songs like On Mercury.
It's a great.
I think
On Mercury.
I think my favorite album is also By the Way, but I change by the week. Sometimes it's Blood Sugar, sometimes it's Californication, sometimes it's Stadium Arcadium, and sometimes it's By the Way. Those four, it always flips between. And the only reason Stadium Arcadium really is because it's sentimental, because that's the album I probably listen to first and most out of the Chili's.
Yeah.
With Stadium Arcadium, though, is it disc 1 or disc 2?
It would be. Oh, let me have a look. It would be
disc 1. That's got to be.
It would be disc 1. Although my favorite song on the album is "Death of a Martian."
No,
Death of a Martian. Death of a Martian
that's
is
an
my
awesome
favorite
song.
song because it's weird and I love it. And
it's that whole end section to disc 2. You've got Death of a Martian. You've got it's got We Believe.
Yeah.
And it also has Turn It Again, which the guitar solo section.
All the way, man. Slow Cheater all the way.
Slow Cheater. Oh my god. Slow Cheater is so good. But then my two favorite Chili songs, my three favorite Chili songs, two of them are on Stadium Arcadium, which is Death of a Martian and
Wet Sand.
Nah, she's only 18.
Oh yeah, she's only 18.
I should have known that.
Yeah, I love She's Only 18. And then maybe my favorite Chili song of all time is on By the Way, which is, can you guess?
Zephyr song.
No, I love that though. No. So my favorite Chili song of all time, and it's in like my top 10 favorite songs of all time, is Don't Forget Me.
Oh, Don't Forget Me.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I like slow songs. Sue me. But
I'm a fan of Hump the Pump as well on Stadium Arcadium.
Big
fan of Hump the Pump. Yeah. So
but I think my introduction.
My own block party.
I had definitely heard Red Hot Chili Peppers before I heard this song, but my introduction to them as a band, where I actually went, oh, not only do I like this song, but I know the band Red Hot Chili Peppers and I love the band, would be Tell Me Baby, which I think is a big access point for a lot of people. But that's when I watched Tell Me Baby.
Video is great for people's reactions.
Exactly.
Because they didn't know that the Chili's were going to come out with them, and just they're really genuine reactions to turning around and like, shit, Flea stood behind me.
Yeah, and then I watched that music video, and then
Flea's quite short.
And I remember I watched Tell Me Baby, the music video, and I was like, wait, I know that band. Is that the band that do By the Way and the band that do Under the Bridge? And then that's when I go, oh yeah, this band's called the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then I get into them, and then that's what all that is.
I just like the idea that somebody's only ever seen Give It Away, the music video before, so when they see Tell Me Baby, they're like, is that the band? If I paint them silver in my mind.
Is that the right lot?
It'd be weirder if you recognise them from like Californication video or something like that. Is that the computerized band?
No, Californication makes sense because they do the big bit in Californication where they've got the band member playing live, and then they've got the little insect card.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. The little avatars.
Yeah.
Fair. But then, of course, the Stadium Arcadium I think is underrated though, because it's got like, it's probably their most commercial album, but it's got like Snow. I know everyone raves about Snow, but Snow is an amazing song.
It is.
Jake shaking his head. You're not a
It's
fan.
all right.
Is it
I think
overplayed for you?
I think I've listened to it too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Wet
Well,
Sand's my go-to.
And Wet Sand's a great
fair.
one.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about that sort of thing, then yeah, on Blood, Sex, Sugar, Magic, my favorite song probably would be Under the Bridge, because I think it's an amazingly beautifully crafted song. But yeah, I'm overexposed to it, so it kind of falls by the wayside now a little bit.
But it's that prolific Under the Bridge that I have yelled at people in the past who thought the All Saints fucking cover was the original.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Like, my mate, who I'd known for several years, was like, "Oh yeah, I love this song." Like, I was like, "Mate, you should listen to the original. It's much better." He's like, "I thought this was the original." I'm immediately, "What the fuck?"
I have a similar issue with and I love this version, but I have a similar issue with Amy Winehouse's Valerie, because everyone thinks that that's her song originally, and it's not. It's by the Zootons, and I love Amy Winehouse's version as much as I like the Zootons version, but it annoys me. It annoys me to no end that people don't know it's a cover.
But it's also Mark Ronson's adding his whole bit on that one as well, isn't it? Which just makes it. So I'm a huge fan of Mark Ronson's stuff.
Yeah, I like Mark Ronson as well as a producer. He's great.
That one he did with Mystical, the Feel Right. Oh, superb.
Yeah, it's a good track. Jake definitely wouldn't know that.
No, I'm out of my element here. Is it in 4/4? Does it have rock guitars?
He's heard it. Trust me, he's heard it.
You know that you should listen to the Zootons if you haven't, Jake. They're a really sick band. The Zootons are really good.
I know the idea of this podcast is to help introduce us to music we love and stuff that we may not necessarily love. However, unless somebody comes on with a Zootons album,
well, mate, I'm gonna what is it? I'm gonna cheat the system. Oh, by the way, Jake, I've got a twin brother you never knew about.
What, Bailey? He's not your twin. I hate
Mate,
to say this.
It was a joke where I was going to come up as an evil version of myself introducing the Zootons. Wow, I thought that was a really clear joke, and then the 5 seconds of space just set me dead in the water.
I mean, this is the thing, Gary, right? So being Connor's friend for 15 years, you learn a certain tactic of when he's getting all airs and graces about him and he's about to come out with what you think is something brilliant. If you answer him purely with silence, you can just see the tiny little ego that I've allowed to build up just suddenly crush back into itself.
Yeah, that's the thing. He builds me up to literally watch me crumble, and I do it all on my own. I'm like, yeah, I could do it.
See, this is why I called you a beautiful person at the very start.
Yeah,
because I knew there was going to be a sting in the tail.
It's so you can call me an ugly prick at the end of the show.
No, I've already done my job now. I've deflated you. That's what I needed. But I think before we go careening into a brick wall, I think we should call it a day for this one.
Yeah, man, it's been a lovely talk, and
the problem is there's a lot of shit to say about the album. I think we'll probably I think we do a more in-depth Red Hot Chili Peppers talk.
Yeah, I think the fact that we've actually managed to, I mean, I know we did have a massive tangent in the middle, but we've managed to actually talk about the album all the way through, where so far in every other episode, it's been like the first half we've talked about an album, and then it just degenerates into a random talk about a completely different topic.
I think we spent about 10 minutes on 59 Sound.
Yeah. No, the last week's podcast, I like this sort of podcast where we talk about music all the way through, but then I also enjoy the other where it just degenerates into, not degenerates even, just talks about other stuff as well.
No, degenerates.
There's a bar, and sometimes you never really get over the bar.
Yeah.
Well, it's the way I think about it. The albums are the gimmicks to get the people we want to talk to in the room.
Yeah, that's the right sort of thing.
The albums are a launching off point. We can talk about whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, but I suppose it's different in this case because we're all so obsessed with this album, and there is so much to talk about that we can't fit it into just an hour's worth of talking.
Yeah, I mean, I could literally sit here and talk about it all day.
Yeah, like same. It's such a great album, and it's a cultural point for a lot of people. And as far as
it's cool.
I can imagine. Like, I'm ashamed. I was only 2 years after the album release, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of my parents were Chili Peppers fans or anything like that. So it's always. It
was that prolific at the time. They come up with their own musical genre to describe them. They were at the time known to play rock funk.
Yeah, and I think that definitely describes this album perfectly. I think we'll have to do you'll have to get you on again, Gary, and actually just talk about the Chili's in general, not an album specific, but talk about the Chili's in general. And I know they're a huge part for me. I listen to them all the time. I've got other friends. I mean, I've made friends through liking the Chili's. So
do you remember
they're that big of a deal?
They're always on in my car.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is about the Chili's, one thing I do want to say is, unlike a lot of bands that we'll probably have talked about and will talk about, I think if you don't like the Chili's, it's actually because you've not heard them or not realized you've heard them. I've never known anybody to actually dislike the Chili's. When I go, I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they go, nah, I'm not a fan, and then you go, but what about songs like By the Way? And they're like, oh no, I love By the Way. And then you go, oh well, what about songs like Snow and Tell Me Baby? And they're like, oh, that's the Chili's? I didn't know that. I love that as well. Like, they're a completely accessible, loved band. Anybody who's listened to this that for some weird reason hasn't listened to the Chili's, listen to the Chili's and you'll love them. And they've got so much content that you could probably listen to them for the next month and nothing else.
Before we wrap up, actually, I do have a tangent to go on quickly. It's relating to the Chili's. So in 2011, I had just turned 18, I believe. And me, Connor, and a couple of our other friends went up to see the Chili Peppers up in Birmingham. Now, Birmingham is an awful place. Don't go there. It's a scary, scary little hovel, I would call it.
There goes our listenership in Birmingham.
Well, they had the big city built. It's the only town where as soon as we got off the coach there, walked 1 minute to the city centre and went, oh, we're going to get stabbed. But we stayed in this really weird hotel outside where, there's a bathtub of flies and shit like that. Now, my one lasting memory of the whole experience was I think it was Fool's Gold supported the Chili Peppers, and they allowed you just to walk out, have a smoke, or whatever for the main act. Me and Connor go out for a smoke, and there's this bloke here who's got one of those like braided beards that hangs down. And Connor goes up.
Like Viking.
Yeah, like a Viking kind of thing. And Connor's reaction to this, whilst slightly drunk, was to go up to this guy and go, "Are you a bassist?" And the guy looked at him for 30 seconds as though he was going to murder him. I'm stood by Connor like, shit, something's about to go down. Because the guy turns around and goes, what? And Connor's like, deer in headlights, like, we're about to have a... Turns out the guy was lovely. He was a bassist, and we all chatted for about 10 minutes. But it's my lasting memory of Connor just walking up and insulting people outside the arena.
That's not an insult. I just make friends.
It's the way you said it. Oh, yeah, right. That coupled with the taxi ride back.
Oh, what? Where we just got scammed?
Well, the taxi ride. Damn Tom. Damn Tomkins. Damn Tom piece of shit.
Oh my god, yeah. And what we spent on a taxi that easily should have cost about 20 quid. I think it cost us.
Oh no, mate! It wouldn't. We had to go from one side of Birmingham to the other. It was not 20.
Oh
quid.
Really? I thought he just took us the long way round, but maybe I was just too drunk, and I was like, "Oh, he's taking us the wrong way around."
No. We stuck Adam in the front. It was me, you, and Ryan in the back. And I remember texting one of my close friends at the time saying, "I think I'm gonna die in this car," because it was really fucking messed up.
But yeah, the guy was getting. Yeah,
what was that?
But. No, yeah,
drunk people, of course, know their rationality.
Yeah, and of course, like as well, the thing is not only were we drunk, but this taxi driver was just getting so aggressive towards his sat nav and getting really angry because it wasn't working.
He launched it. He launched it at our mate.
Yeah, and I was like, all right.
Fucking hilarious. But
weird, man.
I think with that, we should wrap up. And so I think from everybody at Songs That Made Us, all we want to say is fuck Kurt Cobain. It's always shooting his mouth off.
What? Where's that? No. Jake's opinion